On November 3rd in Chicago, when Nick Wallander did that master work on the tightrope, a lot of people watched him. Over 2 billion people watched him all over the world, and 64,000 people watched him live. When blindfolded, he walked on a tightrope when the temperature was 2 degrees and there was a wind speed of 25 miles per hour. And he did it in 1 minute 17 seconds, the 100 feet. And but while he was crossing, he was requesting the crowd to be silent. And he said, please be silent, because I need to listen to my dad's voice. Because his dad was sitting across with a microphone in his head, in his mouth. He was just giving directions to his blindfolded son where his next foot should land. Just imagine, nearly 500 feet above the ground level, pitch dark, on a tightrope, blindfolded, he walked just based on the instructions given by his daddy. He had ultimate faith in his dad, and that's why he was able to finish it. Today I want to speak about faith. We Christians use this word faith very often, and sometimes when we use a word quite often, it loses its sense, it loses its meaning. If we are asked that question, what is faith? I don't know how many of us would arrive at a right answer. A lot of people believe that faith is just trusting somebody. Is that what faith is? Now let me give you another example. Before Nick Wallander, there was one more guy who was known for tightrope walking. His name is Charles Blondin. You can Google his name, Charles Blondin. Charles Blondin was the first guy to cross Niagara Falls on a tightrope. And a lot of people came to watch that event. It happened on June 30th, 1956. And he had a rope across Niagara Falls, and with a crossbar, he just crossed Niagara Falls on the tightrope. Lakhs of people watched it. And once he finished, he looked back, took a microphone, and he said, guys, I just crossed Niagara on the tightrope. Have you watched it? They said, yes. I want to do it again, the reverse. Do you think I can do it? Everybody said, yes, you can do it. And then he said like this, I want to have a guy sitting on my shoulders and cross. Do you think I can do it? Everybody said, yeah, you can do it. And he said like this, can one of you come and sit here? None turned up. Now you understood what faith is. Faith is not to say, but to believe and get into action. If you are truly trusting Charles Blondin, what you would have done is, you would have just climbed onto his shoulders and would have said, Charles, now you walk. That's faith. Faith is putting words into action. That's what James said. Can you show me faith without deeds? That's how he said. Faith without deeds is dead. A lot of people get confused with James' way of teaching and Paul's way of teaching. Paul said it's by faith we are saved, not by works. True. Salvation is by faith. That is, to come to Christ, you don't do anything. But once you come to Christ, you have to do something. Paul was speaking about faith that leads to salvation, and James was speaking about faith that comes after salvation. So this is the faith to become a Christian, and that is the faith of being a Christian. So there is no need to get confused between James and Paul. Paul was speaking about faith that gives you the eternal life. James was speaking about the faith that shows that you are a Christian. So without deeds, you cannot have that kind of faith. Jesus himself said, let there be the fruit of repentance. Now what he's trying to say, if you are repented, it must be seen in your deeds. in your works. So that's the true faith. And Bible gives you a lot of pictures, a lot of models who have shown that kind of faith. In fact, we have one chapter in the Bible which actually gives you the men and women who are considered to be like hall of faith. We have it in Hebrews 11 chapter. But I'm not taking you there. I'm just looking at one event which tries to show different kinds of faiths. And we are going back 2,620 years from now. And it's an event where the whole world was virtually or literally watching it. Because he was a king who ruled the world. 127 provinces under him. Okay? He's called Nebuchadnezzar. Saddam Hussein wanted to be called as the modern Nebuchadnezzar. He wanted to control the whole world. During Nebuchadnezzar's time, there were only 3 continents where people were existing. One is Asia, second one is Africa, third one was Europe. People thought the world consisted of only 3 continents. And the sea that is between these 3 continents was named as Mediterranean Sea, presuming that's the middle of the world. Okay, so I'm giving you just a background. So this man Nebuchadnezzar was ruling the whole world. And he was ruling the whole world with Iraq as his capital, as his center. And in Iraq, there is one ground which is still called Dura. That's the only ground in the whole world where you can see 15 kilometers with your eye. Nowhere you can see like that. If you go to a seashore and try to see the sea, you can hardly see 3 kilometers. After that, you will see a down because the world is round. But this is the only ground which is flat 15 kilometers. 15 kilometers. Nebuchadnezzar has chosen that ground and he erected a huge golden statue of 90 feet. Huge. It's 90 feet tall and 9 feet wide. One solid ground, solid golden statue. It must be billions and billions of dollars. So that's a huge statue. And he said like this, because there are 127 provinces, that is 127 countries, probably people must be speaking not less than 1,000 languages. And you cannot make an announcement in 1,000 languages. So what he did, he said like this, we are going to play music. When the music is being played, everybody should bow down to the statue I have erected. That's the commandment given by the king. And the people did different kinds of things. Basically, we have 2 kinds of people. People who bow down and people who are not willing to bow down. And Nebuchadnezzar said like this, if you don't bow down to this statue, I'm going to throw you into fire. So that's the situation. With the threat of being thrown into the fire, and here comes the instruction of the king, in fact the commandment of the king, and we are going to look at Daniel chapter 3, if you have your Bibles. 4 kinds of people around that statue. 4 kinds of people. And I'm just trying to show those 4 kinds of people, and here people who are sitting here, you belong to one of these categories. I'm straight. I'm not trying to show my finger onto you, but you try to look at your own self. What I'm trying to do is this. I'm going to present analytically 4 kinds of faiths that are prevalent at that time. We have 2 kinds of people. People who bow down and people who are not willing to bow down. Now we are going to ask them one simple question. What you did, why you did? What you did, why you did? If they answer that, they are actually giving them the faith they have. The kind of faith. The kind of faith is seen in the kind of action. If you don't have faith, you will be either frightened or submitting. Either you will be frightened or you will be submitting. Because you have fear, you don't have faith. Now let us look at these four characters and how they responded. See, when people were just standing around and the music was given, should I read the passage so that you can easily understand? You can have a kind of a story-like thing. Daniel chapter 3. King Nebuchadnezzar made an image of gold whose height was 6 cubits, that's 90 feet, and its breadth 6 cubits, that's 9 feet. He set it up on the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. Then King Nebuchadnezzar sent to gather the satraps, the prefects, and the governors, the counselors, the treasurers, the justices, the magistrates, and all the officials of the provinces to come to the dedication of the image that King Nebuchadnezzar has set up. Then the satraps, the prefects, the governors, the counselors, the treasurers, the justices, the magistrates, and all the officials of the provinces gathered for the dedication of the image that King Nebuchadnezzar has set up. And they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. And the herald proclaimed aloud, "You are commanded, O people, nations, and languages. When you hear the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, harp, bagpipe, and every kind of music, you are to fall down and worship the golden image that King Nebuchadnezzar has set up. And whoever does not fall down and worship shall immediately be cast into a burning fiery furnace. Therefore, as soon as all the people heard the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, harp, bagpipe, and every kind of music, all the peoples, nations, and languages fell down and worshipped the golden image that King Nebuchadnezzar has set up." That's the story which I quote. Now let me ask you. It says, the peoples, nations, and languages fell down and worshipped the golden image that King Nebuchadnezzar has set up. We have one set of people who bowed down. We are going to ask them this question. Can you tell us why you bow down to the idol? Probably the large chunk of people would say like this. We bow down because if we don't bow down, we will be thrown into the fire. Because we don't want to be thrown into the fire, because we are frightened about the fire, so we bow down. So they were threatened, and that's why they bow down. I call this faith as cowardly faith. Cowardly faith is a faith that's prevalent based on fear. That's prevalent based on fear. That's all. And if the fear is drawn away, faith also goes away. Let me tell you one thing. Just imagine I use a small stick and I will say, "Hey, sit down." And that guy is sitting. If somebody else comes with a bigger stick and says, "Get up," what that fellow will do? You got my point? He is not fearing a small stick, now a bigger stick. His faith is based on his fear. That's all. He is carried away by fear. There are some people who have that kind of faith. All over the world, look at all the religions, they bow down to their God out of fear. If I don't bow down to my God, I may be sent into hell. If I don't bow down to my God, He may punish me. If I don't bow down to my God, I might not be blessed. So you are only bowing down to God because you have fear that He may take action. They have an understanding that God is like a policeman with a stick. So if I don't respond to Him, He may hit me on my head. That's the problem. But Christian faith is the only faith that is not driven by fear, but driven by love. You understand? Love doesn't shift. If somebody is loving you, a second person cannot come and say, "I love you more," because love doesn't have a measure. It's always complete. It's always complete. So, when you come to God because of God's love, the fear is not prevalent. It's not a cowardly faith. I want to give you an example what happens if you have a cowardly faith. Peter was following Jesus Christ for 3.5 years. At the end, when Jesus Christ was caught, this man who was called Rock, Petros, who was called Rock, but Petros, in a very contradictory way, when a small girl stood up and asked her, "Were you not with that man?" he said, "No," because he was frightened. Fear made him to deny Jesus Christ. If you have fear, and based on that fear, if you are following Christ, that faith cannot be consistent. It would be wavering. It would be shifting always. Have you ever heard about this man called Richard Wurmbrand? Richard Wurmbrand from Romania. Richard Wurmbrand and his wife Sabina were sitting in a meeting. And in that meeting, they've said, those who believe in Jesus Christ can lift up their hands. They knew for sure, whoever is lifting up their hands will be sent into prison behind the iron curtains. But this man, Richard Wurmbrand, was not willing to lift up his hand. His wife Sabina lifted up her hand and she looked at him and she said like this, "I wish you are not my husband because you are a coward." And that made Richard Wurmbrand to think seriously, and he lifted up his hand. And what happened after that is history. He was in the Romanian prison for 14 long years. But at the end, he became a towering hero to the whole world. But before that, his faith was a cowardly faith. Is your faith a cowardly faith? Are you threatened, and that's the reason you come to Jesus Christ? A lot of Christians come to Jesus Christ because they have the fear of hell. But let me tell you one thing. It might be good if you can come to Christ because of the fear of hell, maybe in the beginning, but it has to shift into the concept of love. You must be carried by love. It's important, or else you are prevailing in cowardly faith. So that's one reason. That's one kind of faith, cowardly faith. Is your faith cowardly faith? Are you following Christ because of fearing something? If that be the case, your faith is not right. The second faith, I would like to call it as credulous faith. What I mean by credulous faith? Credulous faith means a lot of people are bowing down, so I too will bow down. A lot of people are following, so I too would like to follow. You know, a lot of advertisements, they follow this concept. The concept is this: million people are using it, so you use. So what? If million people are using it, should I use it? And some people try to use in advertisement some strange subjects. You know, in India, we have a beautiful woman by name Aishwarya Roy. She was once Miss Universe. Okay? She's very beautiful, there's no doubt about it. One day, I watched an advertisement with Aishwarya Roy, and I was really taken back. Why Aishwarya is in this advertisement? It was an advertisement for a shaving cream. And here is the beautiful lady holding that shaving cream. I was not able to understand why she needs that. Why she's there. Do you know why? They are using the skin of Aishwarya to sell a cream. I'm sorry I'm so blunt, but that's how the world is. You just follow it like blind people, like foolish people. And you may even try to use like this. Tom Cruise uses this, so I'm using it. Shah Rukh Khan uses this, so I'm using it. Is that what you're trying to say? It's called credulous faith. Everybody is following, so I would like to follow. In India, we have a very strange God. His name is Ayyappa. Okay, very strange God. And he's born to two men. Ayya in India is father. Appa is also father. Ayyappa means he is born to two fathers. So he's a very strange God. And everybody goes to worship him 2 days in a year. That's on Jan 14th and Jan 15th. There would be a huge crowd and millions of people go there just to watch fire that is coming up, and it is called Makara Jyoti. Jyoti means light, and it comes only once in a year. Millions of people watch it. 3 years back, when people were watching that light, there was a kind of a stampede and 95 people died. And some people actually wanted to know what exactly is that light. And they in fact asked the government to do a research and find out what that light is. Why there is a stampede? Why so many people died? And 3 years back, the government did an investigation and they found out it is nothing to do with religion, it is nothing to do with faith. They just actually burned some grass. That's all. In a village that is 15 kilometers away. They just burned it. And it has come up on the newspapers. It's been declared in the court, high court of that province, that it's nothing to do with religion. It's not a miracle. It happens because they burn the grass. But still, even after it's been declared on the newspaper, millions of people still go there. In India. Millions of people. Why? Why? It's blind. This world is living on credulous faith. When so many people are following, I too would like to follow. You don't want to stand out and say, this is my faith. Because you want to be with the crowd. If I'm with the crowd, I'm comfortable. Because a lot of people are around. That's called credulous faith. Are you following Christ because a lot of people are following? I'm asking. Are you following Christ because your mommy and daddy told you that? Are you following that because your friends have told you that? Well, they may tell you it's nothing wrong, but you need to have a reason for your hope. You must have a clear reason why you trust in Jesus Christ. That's called credulous faith. There are some people, they were having credulous faith. And the third one, I would like to call it as commercial faith. Why it's called commercial faith? It's called commercial faith like this. Nebuchadnezzar is standing there. He instructed the people to play the music. And they were playing the music. And till now we have seen two kinds of people. People who looked at the fire and bowed down. People who looked at the people who are bowing down and they bow down. And there are few people, you remember what they are doing? They looked at Nebuchadnezzar and they bowed down. They looked at Nebuchadnezzar and bowed down. Do you know why they looked at Nebuchadnezzar? Hey, we are following your orders. Now give us some benefit. Give us promotion. You got to know why? There are some people who come to Jesus Christ for benefits, for blessings. I don't know about New Zealand, but in India, we have a lot of people who have this commercial faith. And in fact, there are a lot of preachers, not only in India, but also in United States, who come on channels like God TV, who promote this kind of commercial faith. You give us $100, God will make it $1 million. You give us $50, God will make you $500. It is called seed of faith. They give a big heading for that. It's rubbish, I would say. It is buying people. It is deceiving people. It is making God a kind of a bank. Our faith is not commercial faith. It's true, when we come to God, He gives us a lot of blessing. But we are not coming to God for the sake of earthly, foolish blessing. I told you, true faith is not carried away by monetary benefits, it's carried away by love. It's something like this. If somebody says, I want to give you $100, you go to that fellow, somebody else comes and says, I want to give you $200, what will you do? You leave this $100 fellow and go to $200 fellow. It's wavering. That faith is not consistent. It's wavering. Because it's always a commercial faith. You wanted something in this world and that's why you're coming. There are some people who come to God for physical healing, for financial blessing, for relational restoration. There is nothing wrong in asking God to restore you. There is nothing wrong in asking God to heal you. There is nothing wrong in asking God to bless you. But let me tell you one thing. Sometimes God may not bless you earthly. It's possible. But let me tell you one thing. You are coming to Christ. You are coming to God for two reasons. Number one, you are coming to Him because He died for you. You are coming to Him because without Him you are incomplete. Those are the two reasons. You know Paul? Apostle Paul? Apostle Paul was a towering person who has a huge gift of healing. Any person who touches him, that's enough. He will be healed. Even the shadow of Paul was sufficient to heal a person. But Paul himself was having a disease. He prayed thrice. He said, Lord, heal me. God said, no, I'm not going to heal you. My grace is sufficient unto you. Has Paul left Jesus Christ because he was not healed? No. He was willing to suffer for Christ because his faith is based on love. It's not based on something very minute. So that's the third kind of faith. Till now I dealt with three issues. Number one, it's called cowardly faith. Number two, it's called credulous faith. Number three, it's called commercial faith. Now, I'm coming to the fourth kind of faith, which every Christian is supposed to have. For that, I want to read from Daniel chapter 3 verse 8. Therefore, at that time, certain Chaldeans came forward and maliciously accused the Jews. They declared to King Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. These people are generally cowardly, commercial faith people, because they were praising king. Oh, we praise you, long live, because all those words will give them some kind of promotion. You, O king, have made a decree that every man who hears the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, harp, bagpipe, and every kind of music shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whoever does not fall down and worship shall be cast into a burning fiery furnace. There are certain Jews whom you have appointed over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, pay no attention to you. They do not serve your gods or worship the golden image that you have set up. These people, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, they have grown up to the level of governors because they prayed, and Daniel was given the dream and also the interpretation of it. And these people were promoted. In fact, they were feeling jealous of these three guys. So they tell, Lord, King, you have promoted them, and now you see they are not obeying you. Then King Nebuchadnezzar, in furious rage, commanded that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego be brought. So they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar answered and said to them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you do not serve my gods or worship the golden image that I have set up? Now if you are ready, when you hear the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, harp, bagpipe, and every kind of music, to fall down and worship the image that I have made well and good. If you do not worship, you shall immediately be cast into a burning fiery furnace. And who is the God who will deliver you out of my hands? Now Nebuchadnezzar gave them another chance. That's, in fact, the test of faith. Faith usually has to be tested. Now that's what is happening here. So Nebuchadnezzar says, I'm going to test you, man. I'm going to see which God is going to deliver you from the hands of my gods, from my hands. So he gave them an opportunity. Now when that opportunity was given, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego did not bow down. And this faith, I would like to call it as courageous faith. That's the fourth one. We are supposed to have that kind of faith. God is expecting that kind of faith in our lives. Now we have to define what the elements of this courageous faith. Look at that. Verse 16. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to answer you in this matter. If this be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of your hand, O king. Now if you look at that first phrase, we have no need to answer you in this matter. If you look at the original Hebrew, do you know what's the actual meaning? The actual meaning is this: we don't need much preparation to answer you that. It's something like this. Just imagine, you have people here, and randomly I ask one fellow to get up, and I'll say like this, what did you study? And that guy says, I have finished my uni. Cool. Guy, after 1 week I'm going to have a test on you, whether you have truly studied in uni or not. And that guy says, so what's the test is all about? It's nothing but, you have to non-stop tell the two table. 1 2s are 2, 2 2s are 4, 2 3s are 6. You know that table? And that you have to tell after 1 week. You have to buy heart and then come. What would you say? If you are a uni guy, you would say, hey, you can have that test now. Because it doesn't need preparation. You can have the test now. It's something like this. It's peanuts, man, for us. We can answer it now. It doesn't need preparation. We are not taken back. We don't need much preparation to just give. No, that's what exactly Peter says in his letter. You must be ready to give the reason for the hope you have. You are always ready. You know your faith. When you know your faith, when you know why you are believing it, when you know how you are doing it, there is no need for you to say, hey, wait. Let me go and prepare and come and then give you the answer. You can just give it. So that's what it means. We don't need preparation because that's our faith. When Nick Wellender was asked this question, do you know this question? They asked, Nick, when you are blindfolded and when you are walking on that tightrope, what made you to walk confidently? Do you know he gave 3 reasons? Reason number 1, my dad's voice. Reason number 2, he said, for me, the rope is my land. Rope is my land. And number 3, I believe in my God. And that made me to walk on the rope. That's what he said. I'm attached to the rope and I'm listening to my dad and I'm trusting my God and that's why I finish it. I like it. He was not saying, give me some time, let me prepare an answer. He knew why he was able to do that. He knew the reason for his hope. He knew the reason for his faith. My friends, that's what Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego says. We don't need preparation, we can give you. Now what's the answer there's in? If this be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us. Number 1, they are speaking about the ability of their God. The ability of their God. Our God is able. Faith comes in knowing the ability of the person in whom you trust. It comes by knowing the ability of the person. Let me tell you one thing. Ability of the person usually comes through experience. Let me tell you one thing. You go to a particular doctor and you got healed. You go to the doctor again, you got healed. And third time you got sick. What do? You go to that doctor with confidence. Because you knew that the last 2 times you went there, he gave you medicines that gave you the solution. So you know the ability of the doctor. Just imagine your neighbor is sick. What do? You will say like this, hey, you go to that doctor because I know his ability. I know his ability. Now that's what Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego was saying. We know our God's ability. Our God is able to protect us. There is no doubt about our God. There is no putting down our God. He is able to save us from this fire. He can do that. He is able. That's called ability. Then what else is it? Whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace. And He will deliver us out of your hand, O King. The second statement they are saying is this. Our God's ability. And number 2, what is our God going to do? He is not going to deliver. He is not going to deliver us into your hands. What do you mean by delivering us into your hands? He is not going to allow us to bow down. He is not going to put us down. He will not show a face and say, I'm sorry, I can't help you. You do what you want. He will not allow us to do that. My friends, you know that our God, who is our protector, our God, who is our provider, will not allow us to go through any temptation that is beyond our capacity. 1 Corinthians 10:13. You learn this. God will not allow us to go into any temptation that is beyond our ability. What do I mean? Should I explain it in simple terms? If you are studying 5th class, He won't give you a 7th class question paper. You got more point? He won't. Why? He knows your capacity. He knows how much you can bear. He won't allow beyond your ability. God knows our ability. God knows how to deliver us. God knows how to handle us. You know, every time Satan was going to Job, he has to take the permission of God. God was telling, okay, now you take care of, you can get rid of the property. Now you can get rid of the family. Now you can attack the body. God was actually giving permission and setting the controlling point. Oh, to this level you can go because I know my child. Now I know him, how much he can handle. That's what God was saying. So when God is pushing you into a situation, He knows that you can handle it. Often, do you know what Satan creates? Satan creates a doubt in you, and he says, you are not able. That's number one. Number two, God is not able. Two doubts. Doubt number one, I can't do it. Doubt number two, God cannot do it. These people, they were telling like this, our God can do it, and we are not going to bow. Two perfect answers. It's very courageous. And then he goes, but, it's wonderful. But if not, be it known to your king that we will not serve your gods or worship the golden image that you have set up. But if not, be it known to you. But if not, that's called courageous faith. Even if God is not saving us, even if God is not going to protect us from this fire, you must know this. We are not going to bow down. That's called courageous faith. God is looking for people with that kind of faith. People who are willing to die. People who are willing to give. People who are willing to just give up in this world. Anything. And those are the people God is looking for. Jesus Christ said like this, if any one of you wanted to follow me, do this. You need to deny yourself, take up the cross and follow. Cross symbolizes two things. One is shame, the other one is death. You must be willing to be put to shame. You must be willing to die. If you're willing to have these two things, you can follow me. And these people, they are willing to be put to shame by everybody. No problem. Number two, they're willing to die. And that's why it's called courageous faith. Do you have that kind of faith, my friends? A faith that will personify God in and through your lives? Faith that can be a place where God can show Himself. When people show that kind of faith, God would be glorified. Do you know that? God would be glorified. Even when you die or when you are alive, in both cases, God would be glorified. Let me tell you one thing. When Stephen was preaching, they wanted to throw the stones. Was Stephen threatened? No. He was worshipping God. He was praying to God. And at that moment, God allowed Stephen to be killed. But that actually led to the glory. Do you know how? That event actually led Paul to think, and he became a Christian. Stephen died and led to the conversion of Paul. But here in Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego's case, these people did not die, but God's name was glorified in a different way. How? They walked into the fire. Within 3 minutes, look at this. Within 3 minutes, king calls them out. Hey, people, come out. Come out. I want to look at that. Then Nebuchadnezzar was filled with fury, and expression of his face changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He ordered the furnace heated 7 times more than it was usually heated, and he ordered some of the mighty men of his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and cast them into the burning fiery furnace. Then these men were bound in their cloaks, their tunics, their hats, and their other garments, and they were thrown into the fiery furnace. Because the king's order was urgent, and the furnace overheated, the flame of the fire, remember this, the flame of the fire killed those men who took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. But these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell bound into the burning fiery furnace. Then King Nebuchadnezzar was astonished and rose up in haste. He declared to his counselors, did we not cast 3 men bound into the fire? They answered and said to the king, true, O king. He answered and said, but I see 4 men unbound, walking in the midst of the fire. They are not hurt, and the appearance of the 4 is like the Son of God. Amazing. Now what happened, They bound them with ropes. And when they threw them into the fire burnt the ropes, but not the people. Because the ropes were burnt, they were unbound. God knows to what extent the effect should be on you. God knows. And that is trusting God. That is saying, God, if I am in your hands, there is nothing I should fear in this world. And that's what Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego did. The people who came to throw them, they were burnt. But these people were not at all burnt, because from that moment, God was protecting them. God was guarding them. And now look at this. In 3 minutes, to the 3 continents, 3 people declared who the true God is. Let me get you on. 3 continents, 3 people, and 3 minutes. It only took 3 minutes. In 3 minutes, what they did? They declared who the true God is to 3 continents. Amazing. It was done by 3 people. My friends, we are a huge church here when compared to Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. If we are able to have that kind of courageous faith, this world can know and see who true God is in and through our lives. God wants to use us as a means to declare His glory to the world. God loves the world, but He needs somebody to show that. Why not that be you and me? If we are able to have courageous faith, we can show that. I want to share with you one missionary life which actually showed courageous faith that actually led people to know Christ in a better way. You know Jim Elliot. Jim Elliot was a man who went to Ecuador in South America as a missionary. And he wanted to reach a tribe called Aqua tribe people are cannibals. So it took nearly 6 months for Jim Elliot and 4 of his friends to learn 11 words. And once they learned the 11 words, they decided to walk into the tribal community to share the gospel with them, or to have a kind of a fellowship with them. Their first visit ended in a dreadful way. These 5 people went and they never returned. Jim Elliot's wife at that time was 29 years old. Her name is Elizabeth Elliot. She has a daughter by name Rebecca, who was just 9 months old. So she went in search of her husband. And when she went, they all ended up with finding the clothes, the trousers of their husbands. And they are full of blood stains. They realized that their husbands were killed and they were eaten up. Now these women, they could have walked off. But Elizabeth Elliot was not willing to walk. What she did was this. She put her hand on the trouser of her husband. And she said like this, I want to present the gospel to the people who ate my husband. Who ate my husband. And to make the long story very short, Elizabeth Elliot went there. Within 2 years, she established a church among the Aqua. That happened in 1953. Now in 2003, I was speaking in a program in Hyderabad, in India. And my co-speaker was from South America. And we both were put up in a same room in a hotel. I just went inside the hotel, shook hands with him, and I just asked him, what's your name? He said, my name is Hotige. And I said, from which country? Ecuador. And I said, I know Ecuador. He said, have you ever come there? No, I said, I have never come. I read a biography of Jim Elliot, who presented gospel to Aqua. He said, oh, I'm Aqua. He said, I was so much fascinated. I said, wow. And I said, do you know Jim Elliot? He said, I know Jim Elliot very well. And I was so much fascinated to talk to him because he knew somebody whom I considered as my hero. So we were sitting on a cot, side by side, and I was just looking at into the eyes of Hotige, and I asked him, can you tell me how you came to know Jim Elliot? And he started explaining. He finished 4 sentences. Do you know what I did? I just jumped out of the car, went to the door, was trying to open the door to run out of the room because I was so much frightened after hearing the 4th sentence. Sentence number 1, he said like this. 50 years ago, Jim Elliot came to our village. Sentence number 2, people were following Jim Elliot. Sentence number 3, I threw the stone and the stone hit Jim Elliot. And I said, Jim Elliot belongs to me. Sentence number 4, I went up to Jim Elliot. He was collapsed. I took the 2 legs, ripped open, and I took the left thigh and I started eating the left thigh. I ate the left thigh of Jim Elliot. That's what Hotige said. He's the one who ate Jim Elliot. And he's sitting in my room. And the room is locked. I was so frightened. I went to the door and I turned around and said, then why did you come here? He looked at me and said, that's my past, but not now. That's my past. I'm now a pastor. I'm the first pastor of Aqua tribe. And I asked him this question. Can you tell us how you became the pastor? He said like this. After Jim Elliot died, his wife came. She gave us chocolates. She gave us matchbox. She gave us tomatoes. She gave us oil. and we never used all of them. We liked it very much. She gave us salt. She gave us sugar. We liked it very much. She became a very good friend. And one day, she gave us Jesus Christ. I accepted. But I was so guilty. I was so guilty because I was the one who ate Jim Elliot. One day, when nobody was there, only one Elizabeth Elliot was there, I just went up to her, knelt down and said, Madam, I want to tell you one thing. You should not throw me away. You should not spit on my face. You should not say get away. And she said, okay, tell me what's the issue. She said like this, Madam, please forgive me. She said, okay, what's the issue? I was the one who killed your husband and ate him. Do you know what Elizabeth Elliot did? She walked up to me. She kissed on my forehead. She looked into my eyes and she said, I love you. That's courageous. That's driven by love. That's driven by love. That's courageous. And that one courageous act presented Christ to a cannibal tribe. My friends, if you are able to have that kind of faith, if you are able to show that kind of love, nobody would be able to deny the glory of Christ that is shown upon your face. May God help us to have that kind of courageous faith in our lives. Shall we look to the Lord in prayer? What kind of faith we are having? It needs introspection, my friends. I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands or to declare, but think about your own lives, my friends. Are you driven by cowardly faith, which is wavering? Are you driven by commercial faith, which is again wavering? Are you driven by credulous faith, which is again wavering? But there is only one faith, which is rock solid. That is courageous faith. A faith that is willing to say, even if it doesn't happen, no matter, I'm going to still follow. Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, they had that kind of faith. And that made them to bring Christ, to bring God down into the Babylonian culture. 127 provinces, 3 continents, and the whole kingdom would see who the true God is because of one courageous act that came out of courageous faith. Do you have that kind of faith, my friends? If not, probably you need to ask, Lord, I want to have that kind of faith. That kind of faith. Would you like to ask God for that? Master, thank you so much for this time you have given to us to look into our lives and examine in the light of your word what kind of faith we are having. Lord, this is our prayer, that each one who is sitting here should have courageous faith.